Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Love English Podcast. I'm your host Manoj, and today I'm going to dive into a topic that's near and dear to my heart: how to think in English. 7 ways to change your inner language. Thinking in English is a key milestone in your language learning journey, and it can be a game changer in terms of fluency and confidence. So, whether you are a beginner or someone looking to take the English to the next level, this episode is for you. Now, let's start with the basics. Why is thinking English so important? Well, when you think in your native language and then try to translate it into English, you often stumble over words and phrases, and the conversation feels disjointed. But if you can learn to think directly in English, you'll speak more fluently, naturally, and confidently. So, here are 7 ways to change your inner language and start thinking in English. The first is immerse yourself in English. The first and perhaps the most crucial step to start thinking English is to immerse yourself in the language. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English music, watch English movies and TV shows, and read English books, newspapers, and magazines. The more you expose yourself to the language, the easier it becomes to think in English. Consider subscribing to English speaking YouTube channels or podcasts like this one to keep the language fresh in your mind. It's all about creating an English language environment for yourself. Now let's move to way 2 or way second. Think in English throughout your day. As you go about your daily activities, try to think in English. Narrate your actions or describe the things around you in your head using English. For example, when you're making breakfast, think I'm cracking the eggs into the pan instead of thinking it in your native language. This habit of thinking English during every task will help reinforce your language skills and make it more natural for you to think in English. Then we've got third way, expand your vocabulary. To think in any language, you need a rich vocabulary. So continuously work on expanding your English vocabulary. Learn new words, idiomatic expressions, and phrasal verbs. Keep a vocabulary journal where you write down new words and their meanings. Challenge yourself to use these new words in your thoughts and conversations. The more words you know, the more fluid your thinking in English will become. So it's very, very important that you do it. Now let's move to way 4. Dream in English. Now this might sound funny little. Yes, you heard me right. Try to dream in English. A dream's an extension of your thoughts. So if you can dream in English, it's a sure sign that you are thinking in English. You can encourage this by watching English content or reading English materials right before going to bed. Your brain will process this information while you sleep, and you may find yourself dreaming in English over time. This happens if you do on a regular basis. Now, the 5th way is practice thinking in English daily. Like any skill, thinking in English requires consistent practice. Make it a daily habit to spend time thinking in English. You can set aside a specific time each day for this, like during morning commute, while exercising, or before going to bed. Challenge yourself with various scenarios and think about how you would respond in English. This could be hypothetical conversations, problem-solving situations, or even storytelling. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Now, our 6th way is talk to yourself in English. While talking to yourself might sound a bit strange, for me it sounded really strange initially. It's an effective way to improve your thinking in English. When you're alone, talk to yourself in English about your day, your thoughts, and your plans. It's like having a conversation with yourself and helps you articulate your thoughts in English. Plus, it's a great way to boost your speaking confidence. Let's move to way number 7. Language exchange and conversation. Last but not least, engage in language exchange with native English speakers or fellow learners. Conversation is a powerful tool to help you think in English. Join English speaking groups or Find language exchange partners online. The more you interact in English, the more you'll start thinking in English. You can also practice conversations in various scenarios, such as ordering food in a restaurant, asking for directions, or discussing your favorite hobbies. So, there you have it, 7 ways to change your inner language and start thinking in English. Remember, thinking in English is a gradual process, it won't happen overnight, it requires time, a little bit of dedication, but the rewards in terms of improved fluency and confidence are well worth it. So, they are things that you should be following if you really want to improve it. Now, before I wrap up today's episode, I want to share a quick listener success story, or I would tell my one of my students. This comes one from Mumbai, who's been following the Love English podcast for the past year. So she recently left a voicemail sharing her progress in thinking English and how it transformed her language journey. So you can also have your stories if you listen to different podcasts, different content you got to read, you got to think in English. And my friend wanted me to say thank you for my podcast. And she says, she's been listening to this episode religiously for like a year, and she saw her a lot of improvement. So earlier she used to translate everything from Hindi into English, and now she is able to speak in English. So this is really a good, I would say, improvement that she's experienced. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I hope you might find any of the great tips, because I've just shared 7. So I hope you might want to adopt any of these and work on your language skills. Work on those points where you really want to improve it. That's all for today's episode, folks. I hope you found these ways to change your inner language and start thinking English helpful. Remember, thinking English is not just about learning a language, it's about embracing a new way of thinking and expressing yourself. If you have any questions or want to share your own language learning success story, feel free to reach out. You can find me on my blog as well as on Facebook page. So there are a lot of ways to connect with me. And as always, if you enjoy this episode, please leave a comment and share it with your friends who are also on the English learning journey. Until next time, keep thinking in English, keep learning, and keep loving the language. This is Manoj signing off from the Love English podcast. Take care and keep speaking English with confidence.